Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for being on the call live tonight. That's wonderful. I will do my 100% best to provide you some great nuggets so that you could start changing your mindset. And for those of you who are on the replay line, welcome, enjoy. This is for you as well. So what are we going to share in the next 45 minutes? We're going to talk about having a high performance mindset. And you can have a high performance mindset in all areas of your life, but I'm going to focus on the steps to reprogram your mind for wealth creation, because all of you who have been a participant of the Expand Your Influence are entrepreneurs. And as entrepreneurs, we are following our passion, but we also want to put some money in our bank account, right? So I'm going to share with you some wealth creation ideas. And just a quick review, my story is 25 years ago now, I was in the corporate world, and I basically got to that stage of burnout. And you heard the story that I ended up on a Monday morning in the emergency at Health Science Center thinking I was having a heart attack. And thank God it wasn't, because you know what it was? It was like that boom, 2x4 between the eyes to say, hey, you need to start looking after yourself. And, we're all women on this call. And as women, you're probably agreeing, we look after everybody else but ourselves, right? We look after our husbands, our kids, our bosses, our coworkers, our neighbors, our mothers, our fathers, our grandmas, to the point you just can't do it anymore. And I've coached many women who've hit that brick wall like me. So that was my story, and that was the start of my entrepreneurial life. And I've been investing in a variety of entrepreneur businesses, and at heart, I really am an entrepreneur. So talk about the fruits. So when we follow our passion, and in life, even at our jobs, we look around and say, okay, what have I accomplished in life? Have I accomplished what I wanted to? What are the fruits of my tree of life? And most of the time we focus on our fruits. Oh, I don't have a nice enough car, or my house isn't nice enough, or I'm not thin enough, or I'm not healthy enough, or I'm not, all these things that we focus on. Where we really should be focusing on is the roots, right? And I covered this last time, and it's really the strong foundation. Like, I'm a gardener, and if you don't have strong roots, if the tree or the plant is not nourished at the root level, it's not going to produce abundant, healthy, beautiful, lush fruit. So how do we, and where does this come from? And in NLP terms, there's the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So one's more conscious, which is more visible, and the other one's invisible. And our physical realm of what we create is governed by the invisible. So what are the invisible areas? There's our emotional state. And I coach a lot of people on their emotional state. And, and controlling our state to be a resourceful state and conserving our energy with focusing on state management is huge. Because if we are in an unresourceful state, let's say angry, fearful, sad, all these negative emotions, it drains us. It just drains our energy, and we can't really work at a high performance level. So that's the emotional. The mental piece, are we mentally sharp? I walked around in mental fog for 2 years, and I just could not perform the way I want to. And agree, if you just give me a nod, yes, yeah. That mental fog, and that's so prevalent. I'm not sure if it's a woman thing, but with the women I coach, it's the mental fog. And once that fog lifted, then you have, you can have more mental power, or the spiritual side that's not being fulfilled. So the mental, spiritual, and emotional, those are our roots that are going to create our fruit, which is the physical. So our physical, how we look in the outside, how we dress, where we live, or what we drive, our jobs are all the physical realm. Okay, my computer's stuck. All right, so one step for change, and we're going to have you play full out. I want you to repeat after me. There's declarations, and there's a difference between declarations and affirmations. Does anyone know the difference? You could type in the chat if you'd like, or you could just take yourself off mute. Hi, Linda. Hey, welcome. Now,
I'm guessing a declaration is that it's an action forward statement. So, and it's present tense. I am successful. I am present. I am confident. Versus an affirmation would be more of a future state. I will achieve. I will be in the future. Whatever. That's my guess.
that's a really good guess. That's really close, actually. So an affirmation, you're right. Now, an affirmation is something that your mind can say, no, you aren't. So if you, let's say if you say to yourself, I earn $1 million a year, that could be an affirmation. And your brain's going to say, hell no, you don't. No. So if it's a statement that your mind can say no to, that's an affirmation. But if it's a declaration, first of all, it's a statement that your mind's not going to say no to, that can start changing your mindset. And my declarations, I'm going to recommend you do, and this is part of evoking your visual, your audio, and your kinesthetic. So what I recommend is when you say a declaration, you put your hand on your heart right now. And when you're talking, you can feel the vibration, right? So that's kinesthetic. And look in the mirror, and here you can look at the computer screen, but look in the mirror. When you say your declaration, you look in the mirror, you see yourself, and you say out loud and hear yourself say the declaration. And that's going to connect with your unconscious mind that controls your conscious mind, that controls your world. So let's say it together. Let's just practice this. It's kind of corny, but hey, I'd rather be corny and wealthy than corny, non-corny and broke. So put your hand on your heart. Look at yourself in the if you can, in the monitor and say, let's say it together. My inner world creates my outer world. My inner world creates my outer world. My inner world creates my outer world. And you can touch your forehead and say, I have a wealthy mindset. And it's so powerful when you declare it to the world and you hear your declaration, you're actually sending out the vibration and you're attracting more of that. It's all about the law of attraction. So when you say, I am so angry, you're sending out angry. But if you say, I'm so happy, you're sending out happy. So you're going to attract more happy. So when you declare this, we're going to go through more declarations. And that was just a warm up. So our money tree, who wants to have more money in their life? Absolutely. So let's talk about the money tree. Now, this is an interesting story. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Chinese bamboo story. When they plant, this is true, when they plant bamboo, the first year they water, they plant it, water, fertilizer, and you know what happens? Nothing. Like nothing. There's nothing growing. It's like, what the heck? Second year, okay, it's going to happen the second year. Nope, they water and fertilize, and what happens? Nothing. This is, you have to have some faith here as a bamboo farmer. Third year, you water, fertilize, and nothing happens. Well, surely goodness, fourth year. Fourth year, you water, fertilize, and nothing happens. Now, can you keep persevering? Fifth year, suddenly, boom, the bamboo grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. Wow, is that wild? This is true. So this is how we are. We need to nurture and fertilize our roots, that unconscious mind of ours. And as the changes are happening, you may not be aware of it instantly, but through patience and perseverance, you can reprogram your wealth mindset. Does that make sense? Okay, so you've all heard about the process of manifestation. If you've read, personal development books, it starts with thoughts, right? Our thoughts, what we think, consciously creates feelings, and we are emotional creatures and we act on our feelings, and our feelings create actions, and our actions create results. So the money blueprint is already in your subconscious mind. So thoughts, when thoughts come into your mind, create feelings, create actions, create results. If you want different results, you have to have different thoughts, or not you have to. You need different thoughts. So as you change your thoughts, you're going to change your feelings, change your actions, and change your results. So what you focus on grows. So be very careful. Now, some people who want to manifest money in their life focus on the money they don't have instead of focusing on what they do want. So be very careful. This is a strange little balance here. So when I coach people, I often find that they're focusing more on the lack versus the abundance. And there's a distinction. Okay, so where does your money blueprint come from? Money blueprint comes from, generally, and Adeline will know this from our NLP training, the money blueprint will come from the first 5 to 8 years of your life. You're very open to everything. Like the first 5 years of your life, you really don't have a filter. You're unfiltered. So everything you see and hear and observe just goes straight in. And everything that has happened in your entire life is recorded in your unconscious. We can't always recall everything, but it's all recorded, and it's our roots. So where did we hear the verbal? So when you're growing up, you would have heard things in the household about money. I mean, this could be about relationships, it could be about weight, it could be about health, it could be on any topic, but we're just kind of focusing on money at the moment. So on money. So what did your parents, what kind of money blueprint did your mom have? Did your dad have? Aunts, uncles, relatives, teachers? Where did that come from? And then the most powerful is actually modeling. And this is, again, this is another one of those NLP concepts. The fastest way to learn is to model. And as a child, we're modeling the closest people around us. So we're doing what they're doing. We're learning that just by osmosis. We're absorbing and learning and modeling. And then there could be some specific incidences that happen that will impact your money blueprint. For example, I'll just give you an example. My mom and dad were savers. They kind of grew up in the Depression, and they were big savers. And my mom had her multiple streams of income. They grew up I grew up on the farm, and my dad had most of the money, but my mother always wanted to have her independence. So she would have her own streams of income. So she would grow potatoes, and she'd have her potato money. And then she had chickens that laid eggs, and she'd have her egg laying money. And she put these all in separate envelopes. And then my mother was very crafty. She had these chickens we had to butcher at the end of the year because she sold chickens. And she said, this is our Christmas money. If you all help us, as kids, butcher the chickens and gut them and clean them and all that stuff, you can have Christmas presents. So guess what us kids were doing? Butchering chickens. So this made such an impression on me that when I now have grown up, guess what I'm modeling, or who I'm modeling? My mother. I have, instead of envelopes, I have separate bank accounts, and I have multiple streams of income. And it dawned on me just recently, I am my mother. I am, but in slightly different form, but I basically am modeling my mom. And my mom always said, have your own bank account. And so when I started in a relationship, I always had my own bank account because I modeled her. So who are you modeling? What specific incidences are you modeling? So our verbal programming. So what did you see and mostly hear when you're growing up? So let's just take yourself off mute, and we're a small group of and let's just throw things out like, so just take yourself off mute. I want to hear, what did you hear growing up about money?
Never enough.
Never enough.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Oh,
We don't have money for that.
Oh, I heard that one a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
It was all about debt.
Mm,
Yes, Julie, yes, us too. Yeah.
yeah.
My family, it was more about choice. So it was, you can have this or you can have that, but there's consequences to which one you choose.
Okay. Well, that's a little better, right? They kind of gave you some choice. They saw some, yeah.
One,
What else did you hear?
one of the comments I heard from my dad was not to trust rich people because they were dishonest.
Ooh, yes. Those rich people are crooks. Don't
Yeah.
trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't live beyond your means.
Mm,
Like you don't like live within your means, don't live beyond your means. But it always referred back to like you can't, this is what you're gonna make and that's it. You don't, just be thankful for what you have.
Yep. Those are all quite negative, aren't they? So if we're wondering, like, how come I'm working so hard and I just can't seem to make this happen? I want to make it happen. What's stopping me? These type of verbal programming may be the root cause. So these are some of the things most people have heard. Money doesn't grow on trees. We heard that one. You can't take it with you. My husband says there's no trailer hitch on a hearse. You can't take it with you. So my husband's there, I gotta spend it. Spend. I'm there, no, save. And then we're like, we have two different money blueprints and it drives me nuts because he says you can't take it with you. That's all he says. And he wants to spend it all the time. And I'm there, no, we gotta save some for a rainy day. And I have to laugh because we've all heard these crazy ones. It takes money to make money. Now, is that true? It takes money to make money?
In my experience, it is.
Yeah.
You have to invest, whether it's in yourself or your product or something.
Yeah. It doesn't take a lot of money to make money. I coach a whole bunch of young entrepreneurial men and women who are in the house flipping business. And most of them have started with zero money, no money down, but they've had to really hone their selling skills to find people who want to invest in their deals. But it doesn't take, I wouldn't say it takes a lot of money. We could start on a very small amount to make things start flowing. Money doesn't make you happy, Hey, I'd rather, try that out myself. I'd rather have money and see if I'm happy than being broke and see if I'm happy. It makes it a lot more fun. Money is the root of all evil. Anyone ever hear that one? Yeah, that one's very biblical based. They got it really confused. There's a lot of things in the Bible that talk about wealth creation. And if you have more, you'll receive, because it's all a mindset, right? We can't afford it. I heard that all the time growing up. You need to work hard for money. That's my one. That seems to be the one that has stuck with me. Rich people are crooks. We have heard that one. We're not made of money, and men have all the money. Some of us grew up where our dads controlled all the money and our moms didn't, and we were in the impression that men have the money and us women, we don't. So how do you get around this? How do you reprogram your unconscious mind? That is the key. And all of us have a thermostat of wealth. And I've noticed that even with myself, that it's like setting the house thermostat at 72 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever, 22 Celsius, whatever, it's the thermostat, right? And if we earn more, we get rid of it somehow. If we earn less, we earn to get to that amount. So, so this sets your thermostat if you're a low income earner or a high income earner, if you're a spender or if you're a saver, how you manage money, or if you're inconsistent, you get a lot and then you get rid of it because your thermostat is set too low. So someone like Donald Trump, and I'll bring that up because everybody knows Donald Trump. In fact, I think the debate's on right now. If he did lose it all, he went bankrupt in one of his businesses, and he within a short time got it all back. Like his thermostat is set for billions, and he wouldn't be happy at millions. So depending on our wealth thermostat. Now, how do so just be aware of that. So this, I added a piece to it. So yes, thought leads to feelings, lead to action, lead to results, but it's the past programming, those first formative 5 to 8 years of life that is so deeply embedded in your unconscious that is influencing your thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So that's that deep programming. And I, think of it, if we were in person, when I give this presentation, I'd actually have, a glass of Coke and a big pitcher of water. And it's kind of a cool demonstration, but it's kind of hard to do right now at my desk. But take this as an action item just for your own example to do. So take a Coke or Pepsi, something dark in color, or anything dark in color, and take water. And you would be shocked at how much water you need to pour into that glass to rinse out all that dark Coke. It's a lot. So the point is that it takes time for us to reprogram. And I've been on this journey of reprogramming for quite a while. And I'm going to share some things that will help speed it up. So first of all, it starts with awareness. You have to become aware. And after this seminar, you'll be more aware of your money mindset, your thermostat, some of the past programming, both verbal, modeling, and specific incidences that have created some limiting beliefs in you. So awareness, then understanding disassociation from those beliefs, that declarations, and new input. So these are some steps. Write these down. This is something that you could do today. Write down what you heard, seen, and felt. Again, hear, see, and felt growing up. So that's what's in your unconscious programming. That's step one. Step two, write down these statements that have affected your financial life. That's the understanding. The disassociation, can you see that you have a choice in the present moment to be different? And NLP, we're taught everything's about choice. And what does NLP provide? It provides you with more choices to make. So it helps you realize that you don't have to be this way. Unconsciously, your unconscious will provide you with more choices as you start modeling people. And this really, really works, especially in the modeling. You can actually generate new behavior and create new choices. Declarations are an easy way, free way of what I heard about money isn't true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking for a wealthy mindset. So I'm going to give you some declarations. We're going to practice. You could write them down and you could start doing these every day to start putting in new input. Because declarations, hand on the heart, seeing yourself in the mirror and hearing yourself say them are going to start reaching the unconscious. And it may take some time, and it may be like that bamboo tree, right? That start, to change those roots, to grow those roots, develop those roots might take some time, but you're going to start seeing some changes. Like, wow, things are going to start happening. Oops. Okay, so here's a declaration. So let's give this a try. Hand on your heart, look at yourself, and say after me. What I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking that support my happiness and success. I have a wealthy mindset. So I'm going to give you a moment. You can take a screenshot. You can write it down. So this is the beginning of starting to reprogram. And once you say this often enough and really contemplate it, it isn't true. Does, like rich people are crooks. Are they? No, they're not. I know some really great rich people. They're fantastic. In fact, they're more generous than the people who aren't. Is there not an abundance in the world? There is so much abundance. There is so much money and wealth available. We live in a very abundant world. So there isn't limitations. It's available for us. And once you start opening yourself up to receiving, And I find often as women, we are give, give, give and don't receive. So how you can even, this is a one tip. It's on the slide, but you can write this down. A simple way to start programming yourself to be more open to receive is by accepting a compliment. So if someone says, wow, Marnie, you look great. You say, thanks. And that's all you say. Now, a lot of us say, oh, this old thing, I got this at the thrift store. Oh, geez, I just, I need my hair colored and cut. Like we kind of just, we don't accept the compliment. And the person who's giving you a compliment really wants to give. And if you don't accept it, they don't feel as good because they are freely giving a compliment. And if you say, thank you, and just accept it and feel good about it, that's a way that you're starting to program to receive more. Does that make sense? Okay. Another declaration. Okay, so that one is about the things you heard about money isn't true. So that starts through programming that. Modeling. Okay, let's put our hand on our chest. Repeat after me. What I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way. I have a wealthy mindset. And does that feel good? That really feels good. You could create your own way. And modeling is the fastest way. So if any of you have been on any of Jackie's courses, modeling is the fastest way. When we took our, when Adeline and I took our NLP Master Practitioner course, we had to do a modeling project. And it talks about modeling is the fastest way to change. So on anything, if you want to become thinner, model a thin person. If you want to become more athletic, model an athletic person. If you want to become wealthy, model a wealthy person. So how do you do that? And we'll take you off mute in a sec, but let's try the affirmation. Hand on your heart. Repeat after me. What I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way. I have a wealthy mindset. So how can you start modeling people? Well, start learning how wealthy people think and how they act. Now, if you know of someone who has more money in life, go for a coffee with them, interview them, ask them to give you some tips, just get to know them. And it could be on Zoom. We don't even have to physically get together, with this physical distancing. We don't have to be social distancing. We can be physical distancing and still hang out with someone who has, think of all the presenters and expand your influence. Wonderful people have given so freely of their time for all of us to start, having a more abundant mindset. Okay, one more declaration. Repeat after me. I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past and I create a new rich future. I have a wealthy mindset. Didn't that one feel good? I like that. Create a new rich future. Again, if you want to take a picture of this or write it down. So the steps: awareness, understand, disassociate, and those are going to help us disassociate from our old beliefs, and then declare what we heard wasn't true, and then reprogram by modeling rich people, reading books, attending seminars, listening to podcasts, and you can hire an NLP coach or take some NLP training. But it's the reprogramming. So we have a few more minutes. Let's just look at the difference in beliefs. And you may not be aware of this, but this is the beginning. This is the awareness stage. How do rich people think? How do poor people think? And this is the awareness, so that we become more aware and start thinking more like rich people and start programming ourselves with these beliefs. And again, there's so much available. Like there's so many free podcasts available and YouTube videos. Like of all times now, there's so much free stuff available for us to access. Okay, big difference between rich people. Their belief is I create my life. They took full responsibility. Poor people, life happens to me. So and analyze yourself. Are you, or have you heard anyone with this sort of like a victim mentality? Because people who have, don't take full responsibility blame others, they justify and they complain. They spend so much energy, time blaming, justifying, complaining. They don't take that energy to take responsibility and change their life. My Uncle Donnie, he was the victim. He was the victim. It was everybody's fault. It was his parents' fault, even though my grandparents were wonderful to him. It was the government's fault. It was, damn Trudeau, right? Back to Trudeau Senior, or, whatever. I heard him growing up, sitting around the kitchen table, smoking his cigarettes and drinking his whiskey and complaining all the time. Well, my Uncle Donnie passed away 3 years ago, broke, unhappy, miserable, and all his complaining got him nowhere, and he died young. That's the victim mentality. So I'm saying take 100% responsibility for your life. Now, it's not easy. I know some of you have had pretty shitty backgrounds. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Bad experiences, bad parents, bad relationships, maybe problems with your kids. It's not necessarily easy, but once you accept 100% responsibility that you've created your life, it actually is very freeing, because if you created that life, you could create a different life if you choose to. So I find it is, sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, taking responsibility, but it's absolutely worth it. Stacy gave me a thumbs up. It is. It's freeing. It's liberating. I think that's the word. It's liberating. Okay, and think of the law of attraction, complaints versus gratitude. What we focus on, we attract. So this is a little homework assignment. I'm assigning you tasks. That's an NLP thing. At the end of a session, we always assign a task. And the people who actually change more do their homework. So this sounds simple, but it's going to be a real challenge. So write this down, your 7-day homework assignment. And I want you to text me and let me know, or Facebook message me how it goes. No complaints, verbally or mentally, for 7 days. I think this will be a challenge even to do this for 7 minutes. But and write down, okay, so that's one thing. And you know what this is going to do? Like, we just came off this training course, Adeline Lyon, and she talked about Carmen, who's one of the founders of NLP, talked about, we have all these voices, and this constant voices, constant narration that's going on in our head. And we have multiple voices. And I really wasn't as in tune until after this week. I'm thinking, I do have a lot of voices. There's the bitchy voice. And then there's the happy cheerleader voice. And then there's the complainer that's complaining about everything. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too sunny, and so becoming aware of what's going on in your brain. And then if you do have the complainer voice that's saying, oh, my shoulder hurts, or oh, I'm too fat, or whatever it is, say, stop. Thank you for sharing with me, but I want you now to not share that with me. I don't want to hear you anymore. Please do not talk to me anymore. And you have command over your voices. So if they come up again, say, thank you. I don't want to hear you anymore. I don't want to hear my complainer voice anymore. I appreciate you complaining, but you serve no purpose anymore. Please do not complain anymore. And if you do this exercise, as corny as it sounds, you're going to become more aware of what you're saying, but also more important, what you're thinking. Does that make sense? Okay. And to help the process, remember, what we focus on grows. This whole law of attraction principle. Every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. So I'd like to have you take it off mute and let me know what 3, first of all, does anyone have a gratitude journal? Let's get some discussion. Take yourself off mute. Let's have some fun discussion.
Can I share? Last Thursday, I woke up angry. I think I had read Twitter before I went to bed, and I spent the night in a mental argument with what I had been reading. And I got up and I said to my friends, I am mad and I know that I am choosing to be mad and I'm just going to stay there for an hour or two. And I just worked myself up and then I started to laugh and I was like, okay, have you had enough fun yet? Can you let go of this shit and just go on with your day? And it was instantaneous, the difference between where I had been, you know, playing in that playground of I'm mad to, oh, well, it's time to move on and have a good day.
And I love that example because you chose not to stay in that playground. And when you chose to and you gave the command, your state immediately changed. That's wonderful. And a lot of NLP stuff, we talk about how to change your state. It's change location, physiologically change, get up and start dancing to some music, go for a walk, get out in nature. So physically change, and it helps. So it's great.
Hey, we're going to turn this day around right now.
And get up and move. Get up and move. Who else? Anyone else do have a gratitude journal or write down what they're happy for? Or
I had started a gratitude journal, I don't know, years ago, and then put it off to the side. I think I can find it again. But I was doing that for a while, and I don't know why I stopped. So thank you for bringing that reminder up again. So I appreciate it, Sheila. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's really important to focus on what we're grateful for. And you know, I'm just as human as everyone else, and I sometimes slide into these pity parties that life is terrible and I'm not going where I want to go, you know, all these things. And then one day driving home from the gym with my bicycle, I looked around and I saw the beautiful sunrise. And I said, you know, thank you, God, that I have eyesight. Can you imagine a world without eyesight and appreciating that beautiful sunrise? So, you know, and maybe just saying, thank you for my eyesight. Thank you that I have some hair. Thank you that I could actually taste this beautiful food that I'm eating. Thank you that my pets love me, like whatever it is. But more grateful we are for what we have, more it shall be given to you. And that's a biblical principle. So it starts with gratitude. Changing your life around starts with gratitude. Controlling the chatter, becoming aware of the voices in your brain, silencing the complainer, and strengthening the appreciator, the grateful voice, and have the grateful voice come out more. We could do something really quick if you want to get up, and I'll show you. This was something we just learned this weekend, so I'll share it with you about physiology, how you feel. So everyone just get up out of your chair if you can and bend over. Just bend over and just bend over and not touch your toes, but just bend over as far over as you can, where it's kind of hard to breathe. You know, you're kind of crunching your shoulders. Now, if you want to change how you feel, so I want you to show me how you would feel if you were confident. So now change your posture to how you would look confident. Good. Stand up. I can see you're standing, rolling your shoulders back, putting your chest out, head up. This is the posture of confidence, right? So you see how quickly, just by changing our posture, how we change how we feel. So a little tip is if you want to change, like Marty said, if you're angry and you want to change, or you're feeling sorry for yourself and want to change your physiology. Change how you're standing, how you're sitting, how you're looking. You know, I kind of went through a COVID stage. When COVID hit, I, you know, didn't do anything with my hair, didn't put any makeup on or sweats. Kind of went into this really funky kind of stage. And even when I was coaching students, I just didn't really give a shit how I looked. It was just like, I wasn't depressed, but it was a really weird state. And I know other people were in the same weird state. So now, sort of coming out of it, I feel good. Dressing better, hair nice, makeup, you know. And physiologically, how I'm presenting myself is a reflection of how I'm feeling inside. So even if you're not feeling great inside, if you kind of change how you look on the outside, you're going to start feeling better, right? So instead of like this, you go like this, you change how you feel. Good? Give me a thumbs up if that was good. Good. Okay. All right. We have a little more time. We can go through a few more. Rich people play the game to win. Poor people play the game to lose. Rich people are committed to being rich. They study it. They hang around with rich people. Poor people want to be rich. They dream about it, but they don't really do much. Rich people think big. Poor people think small. Oh, I can't afford it. Versus, how am I going to afford it? I want that. How am I going to afford that? Let me think. Let me figure it out. Let's create some wealth. They focus on opportunities, and poor people focus on obstacles. I always say, if you take your eyes off your goals, if you have a big enough why and a big enough goal, you won't see the obstacles are going to stop. You're just going to stay focused on what you really want. And obstacles are those frightening things you see when you take your eyes off your goals. So get a bigger why. And to achieve what I've achieved, there was a lot of obstacles, but I didn't focus on those. I just kept focusing on what I wanted. Admire other rich people. That's what rich people do. Poor people resent rich, successful people. If you ever look at someone who has maybe a really nice car, maybe they bought a brand new Tesla. Teslas are kind of the in thing, and think, if you kind of think like a little kind of like, oh, look at him or look at her. I can hear my mother-in-law's voice when I do that. If you kind of have that feeling, you'll never be able to attract wealth or that Tesla as an example, because you're stopping yourself from attracting it. Does that make sense? And and a lot of times I have to catch myself, because that little bit of resentment or jealousy will stop the wealth creation process. And every time that voice inside my head, that's my mother-in-law's voice. In fact, I could repeat it, really. Look at her. What does she think she is? Queen Elizabeth? That's my mother-in-law. And when I hear that voice, I think, mother-in-law, I don't need to hear from you right now. Thank you, but please don't talk. God rest her soul. Rich people associate with positive people. Poor people associate with negative people. So being involved in the expand your influence, we're positive people. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Richer you are, bigger your problems, but you grow. Small people have smaller problems. Rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are poor receivers. So again, when someone gives you a compliment, say, thank you. All right, what's the matter here? I'm stalling. Oh, okay. Rich people get paid on results. Poor people get paid on time. Rich people think both. Poor people think either or. You really can have a win-win situation. And I always think win-win. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money. Think about the people who win the lottery. They usually blow that money, and they have less money than they started with a year later, because their money thermometer isn't set high enough. Rich people have money work for them. Poor people work hard for their money. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them. And this is an important point. It's the fear. Because what most people, 80%, let that fear. And when I'm coaching people, I see a lot of different fears. And fear of success is a huge stopper, particularly for women. I can see a lot of us are just on the verge. We're just getting things going, and we can see the we're getting to the top of the mountain, and somehow we turn around and go back down the other way. And it's the fear of success that stops a lot of us women, more so than men. Men get more stopped by the fear of rejection, their ego. But it's these fears. All sorts of fears come up, bubble up.
I heard something recently, and it's lean into your fears.
Lean into them. Nice. Haven't heard that. Rich people are constantly learning and growing. Poor people think they already know it all. I know it all. I don't need to go to those seminars. Don't need to read that book. Rich people associate with positive. Poor people associate with negative. My computer's frozen. Hello. why it's freezing up. Next slide, just hang on. There we go. Okay, we're going to wind it up. So what can we do? Remember, we're like that glass of Coke, and we need to pour all the clean water into it to flush out all the Coke. So how do we do that? We start modeling rich people. That's the best thing you could do. That's the fastest thing. And I do something with my clients called New Behavior Generator, and we take you through an exercise of actually envisioning and modeling yourself as another person who has the qualities you want to have. And I'll just share the story. This really, really, really works. I have this guy, he's a real estate agent I'm coaching. His relationship, his marriage is on the rocks. It is. And so we're working on relationships. And he's learned from his dad that when he gets frustrated, he gets angry and yells, just boom, explodes. So we start with awareness. Where is this coming from? And he's emulating, he's modeling his dad. And then I took him through a new behavior. I said, okay, you're modeling your dad. Who would you like to model? Like, who out of all the people you know, you would want to react like them? So he told me. I said, okay, we're going to take you through this pattern, and we're going to help you create new behavior by modeling that person. And so we did the whatever. It's kind of weird stuff. It's going to use your imagination, but we took him through that. And okay, great. So I talked to him today. I said, how's it going? He said, you know what? That stuff really, what we're doing works. I said, oh, really? How's it working? He said, well, couldn't find my cell phone. I thought I locked it in the house. I was getting more and more upset. Couldn't get a hold of my wife. Went to the neighbors there. She wouldn't answer her phone. I was getting more mad at my wife. And I drove to, where my wife was. And just when I got there, I realized, oh, shit. It was in my car. The phone was in my car between the seats. It dropped down. But here I'm all worked up about my wife. I walked in there. Normally I would have been yelling at her. And then something stopped him. Unconsciously, boop, the thought came in. You can have a different choice of how you behave right now. And the modeling that we did came up and he said, right, I can be like so-and-so. And he said, he stopped. He said, I have to leave. And he turned around and he left. And he just left because he cooled down. He's changed his state. He collected himself, went back, and had a lovely evening with his wife. And he said, Sheila, if it wasn't for what we did, the night would have been a disaster. She would have been in tears. I'd have been worked up. I wouldn't have been able to sleep over what? But what we did that quick, that programming, you reprogrammed me at that root level, it came up and I changed my behavior and it worked. So that's how this type of work really works. So modeling, you can hire a coach like myself, Jackie. There's other training courses Jackie's holding. There's stuff online for free. You could start looking at NLP. There's lots of free stuff. Just Google it or YouTube it. Start reading books. These are my favorites. Think and Grow Rich, #1 book. That was the beginning point. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I don't know, have any of you ever heard of T. Harv Eker? Yeah, this is really great stuff. And T. Harv Eker's stuff is based on NLP, but he doesn't tell you that, does he? When I read it now, it's like, oh yeah, I went to a lot of his courses. The Secret by Rhonda Bryan. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Great book to help you start thinking about assets and liabilities and how do you create residual income. Psychology of Winning, Dr. Dennis Waitley. The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, Darren Hardy. I do a lot of Darren Hardy as well. Talks about discipline over a long period of time. 10 seminars, listen to free podcasts. Help 10 times more people. This is what Zig Ziglar says. If you can dream it, then you can achieve it. You will get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. So start helping other people create value and it'll come back to you. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording and we could just spend a couple minutes sharing.